welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, the minister of the church. We are so glad that you have chosen to worship with us today. Please see our website, uuamherst.org, or our emailed weekly update for opportunities to connect and to grow your soul. We begin our worship together with the lighting of our chalice. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
May our chalice shine all through our lives. May our chalice shine all through our lives. May our hearts be open. May our minds be still. May our truth be spoken. And may our lives fulfill this promise of peace. This promise of peace. This promise of peace. This promise of peace.
Our opening words this morning come from Kathleen McTigue. You who are broken-hearted, who woke today with the winds of despair whistling through your mind, come in. You who are brave but wounded, limping through life and hurting with every step, come in. You who are fearful, who live with shadows hovering over your shoulders, come in. This place is a sanctuary, and it is for you. You who are filled with happiness, whose abundance overflows, come in. You who walk through your world with lightness and grace, who awoke this morning with strength and hope, you who have everything to give, come in. This place is your calling, a riverbank to channel the sweet waters of your life, the place where you are called by the world's need. Here we offer in love. Here we receive in gratitude. Here we make a circle from the great gifts of breath, attention, and purpose. Come in. Each week, we include in our worship service a time for all ages. Whether it takes the form of a story or shared images or some other shape, this time is meant to engage all of us at all ages and stages of life. This part of the service is an integral part of our worship as a multi-generational community of faith. 5 years ago, we intentionally shifted away from the language of religious education, or RE, because people assumed that it was only for kids, or at the most, families with children and youth. We took on the language of faith development, which includes all of us, since we are all on a faith journey that encompasses the many seasons of our lives. You see, faith development is all we do here. Every sermon I preach, every song we sing, every bit of community outreach we engage in, it's all faith development. It's all Unitarian Universalism and learning to live more fully into our principles and values. And of course, faith development is also for children. I like the way Jean Harrison UVR contextualizes what we do as we grow Unitarian Universalists in our midst and as we learn from them and seed the future of our faith. She writes, "Let our conversations with children open them and us to ever wider circles of awareness. Let them open up wider circles of spiritual life, spiritual joy, wider circles of faithful living. Let them also give our children strength and hope and meaning for those times when they feel lonely and we cannot be there for them, where they feel pain because of the cruelties of the world, when they feel guilt and shame and struggle for direction, when they face dangers from which they need more than human protection, when they feel grief and rage as well as awe and reverence, Let us have conversations that will ground them in faith, giving them songs and stories and images that make that faith possible. Today, we offer a story in the format of Spirit Play, a Montessori-based model that honors children's developmental needs and invites them into participation through wondering questions. As always, the story is as much for adults as it is for children.
A story about symbols and how the flaming chalice came to be our Unitarian Universalist symbol. Some people wonder about symbols and how they came to be. The cross is a symbol of the Christian faith. Unitarian Universalism has Christian roots. The Star of David is the symbol of the Jewish faith. Unitarian Universalism has Jewish roots too. Some people call our flaming chalice a healing cup. The story of how the flaming chalice became our symbol is an interesting one and began during the Second World War. During that war, a lot of people who lived in Eastern Europe, Unitarians, Jews, and others, were in danger of being put in prison or killed by Nazi soldiers. The Nazis made them wear a star, like this one, on their clothing to let everyone know they're enemies of the state. A group of Unitarians came together in Boston, Massachusetts to form the Unitarian Service Committee. Their plan was to help the people who were in danger from the Nazis. The director of the service committee was a Unitarian Universalist minister, Charles Joy. Reverend Joy had an office in Portugal, so he would be near the people he wanted to help. He was in charge of a whole secret group of agents and messengers who worked hard trying to find safe routes for people to escape. Reverend Joy and his assistants often needed to ask governments and other organizations for their help to save people who were in danger. They would send messages to anyone in government who might give them money, transportation, or a safe route. Because they were a new organization, though, not very many people had even heard of them. This made it much harder for Reverend Joy and the people in the Unitarian Service Committee to get the help they needed. In those days during the war, danger was everywhere. Lots of people were running away from their own countries to find safety. Often, the people who were escaping and the people who wanted to help didn't speak the same language. Reverend Joy decided it would be much better if the service committee had an official symbol or picture to help identify its members. With a picture or symbol, it wouldn't matter if people couldn't read the language. Reverend Joy needed to find an artist who would create this symbol. He went to a very talented man named Hans Deutsch for help. Deutsch had escaped from the Nazis in Paris, France, where he was in danger because he drew cartoons showing people how evil the Nazis were. Reverend Joy asked Deutsch to create a symbol to print on service committee papers to make them look important. He wanted the symbol to impress governments and police who had the power to help move people to safety. For his drawing, Deutsch borrowed an old symbol of strength and freedom from Czechoslovakia, a chalice with a flame. Reverend Joy wrote to his friends in Boston that the new symbol seemed to show the real spirit of the Unitarian religion. The symbol showed a chalice, or a cup, that was used for giving a healing drink to others. It had a flame on top of the chalice, because a flame was often used to represent a spirit of helpfulness and sacrifice. And so the flaming chalice became the official symbol of the Unitarian Service Committee. Many years later, the flaming chalice became a symbol of Unitarian Universalist groups all over the world. By the early 1970s, enough Unitarian Universalists had heard the story of the flaming chalice symbol that they began to light a flaming chalice as part of their worship service in their churches. Over the years, this practice has spread over most of the United States and Canada. I wonder if you have ever seen or heard any of this before. I wonder which part you liked best. I wonder how it must have felt to wear a yellow star on your clothes. I wonder how the chalice could be a symbol of hope to people. I wonder what the chalice means to you. I wonder where the spirit of love and mystery is in this story.
The chalice, our healing cup. I love the origin story of our flaming chalice. I love that it's a story steeped in human kindness and compassion. I love that there are many ways to interpret and embrace the flaming chalice, whether it is the light of truth and reason, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. The flame and the vessel, like us, contain multitudes. The chalice is a cup, a vessel into which we pour our passion and from which we can be refreshed. Whether giving or receiving, it is meant to be shared. Unitarian Albert Schweitzer captured that essence as he said, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within." We light a chalice when we gather, whether it is for a committee or team meeting, or like today, when we gather for worship, to lift up that which is of ultimate importance to us. We do not worship the cup or the flame. We lift up and honor the relationships that bring us together in beloved community. Today we light the chalice, a cup of healing. From time immemorial, our ancestors were drawn to gather around a flame, and we respond to that same warmth and light. We bring our joys and our sorrows, our questions and concerns. We come to heal and be healed. Like many congregations in our faith tradition, we follow a shared monthly theme. This month we consider what it means to be a people of healing. What does healing demand of us? What gifts and challenges prompt our own healing in matters of our web of relationships? How can we speak to the world with the language of healing and forgiveness? loving the hell out of the world. What does it mean to be a people of healing? What does healing demand of us? How can we speak to the world with the language of healing and forgiveness? You might remember a couple of weeks ago when our guest preacher, the Reverend Dr. Randy Becker, shared with us that although the Universalists believed in hell, they believed it was not a location in the afterlife, but a condition that all too often we create in this life. The Universalists rejected the notion of a place of eternal punishment as inconsistent with a God that is the very essence of love. In keeping with that theology, modern-day Unitarian Universalists can be said to be loving the hell out of the world. We pour our energy into social, racial, and climate justice in an effort to alleviate hellish conditions for vulnerable populations, indeed, for all of us. Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, president of our National Association, spoke just 2 weeks ago about our commitment to collective salvation in this life, rather than a personal salvation in a hoped-for afterlife. We are the people of here and now. Where some faiths offer a cup of salvation that represents the spilled blood of a Savior, our cup burns bright with a flame of love and commitment to leave the world more loving and just than we found it. We are here to love the hell out of the world. Both sides of our faith family, the Unitarians and Universalists, began as progressive forms of Christianity. Both looked to the life and message of Jesus Christ for inspiration and sustenance in their work to bring heaven to earth in this lifetime. I'm thinking of a story from the Gospel according to John. I'll be reading the account of Jesus at the Pool of Bethesda, found in the Gospel of John, chapter 5. I'll be reading it from a New Testament, a Bible for the 21st century, combining traditional and newly discovered texts, edited by Hal Tossig. I did not repeat myself when I said a New Testament. It is what it claims to be, a more complete New Testament that includes both the official canon that was decided upon at the Council of Nicaea in 325 of the Common Era, and also includes the additional scriptures that were found at Nag Hammadi and other archaeological finds. Now, if you're a little rusty on your New Testament, let me remind you of the context of this story. The Pool of Bethesda was located in Jerusalem near what was known as the Sheep Gate, with 5 colonnades around it. Bethesda is either Hebrew or Aramaic for house of mercy or house of grace. It was a gathering place for the ill and the infirm, and it was believed that when the water rippled of its own accord, that it had been stirred by an angel, and the one who would get into the water first as it rippled would be miraculously healed. For those of you who like a good dose of cultural context with your stories, let me tell you that it is believed that the Pool of Bethesda, surrounded by five colonnades, was an Asclepion, a healing pool that was visited by the Roman god of healing, Asclepius. Again, it was thought that anyone who could get into the water as it rippled would be healed of their infirmities. And so, with that little bit of context, I'm going to read from the Gospel of John, chapter 5. One man who was there had been crippled for 38 years. Jesus saw the man lying there, and finding that he had been in this state a long time, said to him, "Do you wish to be healthy again?" "I have no one, sir," the sick man answered, "to put me into the bath when there is a trembling of the water. And while I am getting to it, someone else steps down before me." "Stand up," said Jesus, "take up your mat and walk." The man was cured immediately and took up his mat and began walking. The story continues for the rest of the chapter with quite a lot of sermonating about the legality of healing on the Sabbath, but that is not germane to our conversation today. We need to consider this story in light of the Unitarians and Universalists of a mere, say, 70 years ago. Still separate denominations within Christianity, but feeling deeply constrained by the turn Christianity took during the Second Great Awakening in the mid-19th century, when collective salvation through good works in this lifetime was rejected in favor of emotional conversion and personal salvation from eternal damnation in the afterlife. Our recent forebears were subsequently disinvited from the World Council of Churches for not being Christian enough to qualify for membership. To their credit, both denominations, whose numbers had been shrinking precipitously as postmodernism and humanism claimed those with a more reasoned approach to meaning-making, did not waver from their commitment to making this world more loving and just. They joined to create something new, a pluralistic, post-Christian, truly universalist faith in Unitarian Universalism that embraced a humanistic theology and made the audacious claim that all of what humans know about God and love and kindness and compassion is a piece of the truth. So why the story of the Pool of Bethesda? Well, I'm thinking about our chalice as a healing cup. I'm thinking about the relationships that are held in that flame. I'm thinking about a cup that is overflowing with love and kindness and compassion, all of the ingredients for changing lives and indeed, changing paradigms. Let's return to the pool. Jesus is there. The 5 colonnades are filled with the ill and infirm, people who come to the pool each day with the hope that it will be their day for a miracle, that the angel or Roman god of healing will stir the waters and they will be able to claim their prize by getting into the water before anyone else. Jesus singles out a man who is lame. He simply can't get to the pool without assistance. And humans, being what we are, who is going to forego their own healing to help him get into the water? And yet the man comes back day after day, ready to claim a healing for himself. Note that Jesus does not help him into the water. He doesn't sit down beside the man to engage in a long theological conversation while waiting for the wind to blow or the angel or God to arrive. He sees something life-giving in the man. He sees that the man is ready to be a full participant in his own healing. Against all reason, he keeps showing up, ready to be made whole, to be healed. So Jesus invites him to get up and go. I'm not going to speculate on the metaphysics of the story. It is not important how the man was healed or what part Jesus had in it. The important thing is that the man was there for a healing and accepted the invitation to receive it. Now, we don't do much biblical exegesis together, picking apart Bible stories to find meaning, so you may not be much in practice for cracking stories open to see what else might be there for us to think about. Let me reassure you that we do not need to be fundamentalists when it comes to Scripture. We can be creative and imaginative and ask questions. It's what we do best. We come from a long line of imaginative questioners, sometimes known as heretics, people who choose to follow their reason, their intuitive knowing, their curiosity. That's us. Like the Pool of Bethesda, our chalice represents the cup of healing. We are unlikely to suddenly be cured of whatever physical ailments plague us, but we have all of the possibility in the world to choose to remove ourselves from waiting for an angel or God to stir the waters and choose to be whole. Healing is more about wholeness than it is about a miraculous cure from physical symptoms. And I will say from my own experience, wholeness is more precious. I wonder who you are in the story of the Pool of Bethesda. Are you the one offering hope and healing? Are you the one who has patiently waited for someone to invite you into wholeness? Are you one of the crowd, watching in astonished wonder? Perhaps you can take a moment to meditate on what role you would most identify with as we pause for some quiet reflection. As we listen to the meditation music, please hold in your hearts those in our community who are experiencing physical and mental health challenges in these anxious times. Pray for healing love to provide a sanctuary of strength and beauty to all who need it this day and in the days to come.
Strength and beauty are in your sanctuary. Strength and beauty are in your sanctuary. Strength and beauty are in your sanctuary. Strength and beauty are in your
A Sanctuary of Love. I was introduced to these chants by John Philip Newell in the Spiritual Direction program where I earned my certification as a spiritual director or companion, and I adore the simplicity and complexity of these phrases. Strength and beauty can indeed be found in our sanctuary, our gathered community, our presence together. But what happens when community fails us? It's inevitable, you see. We're only human. As much as we love the idea of beloved community, of being held in the arms of a group of like-minded and open-hearted people, because we are human, we cannot help but disappoint one another. As much as we commit ourselves to love the hell out of the world, to hold our chalice out, to share kindness and compassion, we will fall short. We are all of us in need of healing, of an invitation to wholeness. One of the arguments that people who do not understand our faith tradition pose against the promise of Unitarian Universalism is that without a common concept of God and ultimate meaning, we cannot be a true faith tradition. But our healing, our path to wholeness, is the path of the heretic, the one who chooses. Like the man at the Pool of Bethesda, the house of grace, we respond to the invitation to wholeness by taking up our mat and walking into the future. Our sanctuary, our refuge is, well, complicated. We do not share one common idea of what that looks like. We are the inheritors of the wide vista of process theology. Oh my, we've already engaged in a bit of biblical exegesis, and now we are diving into the deep end with process theology. Hold tight for just another minute as we explore the theology of Henry Nelson Wyman. It was Wyman that said we owe our ultimate allegiance to that which transforms us as we cannot transform ourselves when the proper conditions have been met. Wyman was a Unitarian, and rather than talking about God, he used the language of creative interchange with humans in relationship with the ultimate, the all that is. We are co-creators. I don't think that means that we are somehow equal partners with the ultimate. We simply share attributes like curiosity, creativity, compassion, that allow us to be in relationship together and with the ultimate, the all that is. Creative interchange is active participation in the act of loving the hell out of the world. Creative interchange means showing up at our own personal pool of Bethesda, the house of mercy and grace, ready to heal and be healed. I think that is what Wyman meant by the proper conditions for transformation: a readiness, a willingness to heal and be healed, to be made whole. And as co-creators with the ultimate, we bring hope and healing to one another and to a hurting world. We create sanctuary for one another, a shelter, a refuge, a place where we are held in love.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
Thank you for joining us in worship today. Please see the credits at the end of this service for information about the music and other worship elements. And do take a moment to visit our website, uuamherst.org, and click on the giving link, or text your gift to 833-987-1968. And now we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. Life is short, and we do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind.
Strength and beauty are in your sanctuary. Strength and beauty are in your sanctuary. Strength and beauty are in your sanctuary. Strength and beauty are in